And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another live edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. Guys, thank you, and welcome to Thursday night. Today is April the 10th in the year of our good Lord 2025. And we're already in April, folks. Lots, springtime. I ain't seen spring yet. I left this morning. And it was 38 degrees out when I walked out the door this morning. So I haven't seen spring. If he shows up somewhere, please let me know because I ain't seen it yet. Just getting myself together. Got a little bit of late start to go get my passport today. So I got back a little late and I just was lazy. And I got to tell you the truth, folks, I'm going to make a confession. I hope everybody's listening. I have a major confession to make right now. I don't have anything to talk about. I have no idea what we're going to talk about on the show tonight. I have no idea what we're going to do. We're just going to wing it. I'm going to open up some newspaper articles. We're going to open up Blabbermouth, and we're just going to have a conversation. It may last a half hour. It may last 2 hours. It may last 15 minutes. I don't know. But a lot to get to in the world of politics. If you want to talk politics tonight, people want to talk tariffs. Just for the record, everybody calm down. People never saw the stock market crash for a minute, come back in a minute, go back. To me, the stock market is no indicator of the economy. Okay, I do not play in the stock market. I don't have a 401k. So I have no skin in the game. But that is just a bunch of rich people putting their money in, putting their money out, putting their money in, putting their money out. And it is no indication. It's just people either want to manipulate it or people who want to run and hide or jump in. And listen, don't think that the rich people aren't pulling their money out, that everything tanks, everybody jumps out, they jump back in. And what? They buy all the stock cheaper, and then everything goes up. People jump back in, and that stock is worth more money. That's life, folks. But if you think the stock market is a true indication of the economy, you're incredibly misinformed. Okay? I think it's nice when the market's up and people are doing well. I think it's fantastic for the country. People have better confidence, and they spend money. But any day of any week, and we saw it in 2008 in our own lifetime. All of a sudden, the housing market crapped out. People weren't paying their mortgages back, and the economy tanked. The market tanked, and it took the economy down with it. So, to me, what Trump is doing is the right thing. He is trying to bring China to its knees and stop them from being trying to be a dominant force. And he's telling everybody, we're still the king. So I applaud it. I think it's going to be a pain in the ass and it's going to be hurt, but you ain't fixing 40 years of this overnight. So I hope people are patient and just sit back. And if you got money in the stock market, leave it alone. It ain't going to go away and it'll come back. Okay. So the best thing you can do is just close your eyes and deal with it. But if anybody looks around and sees, that they're trying to run and hide because of the market, you're out of your mind. So just be patient. Tariffs are a good thing. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have them on us. So sit tight and be patient. Again, guys, not a lot to talk about. Hopefully you guys got some topics. We have the NFL draft coming up in a couple weeks. Some news, Jeff and I have invited John Marhefka, our good buddy from our Sunday Audible days. John, you know him from RFO Records and being a talk of the town. His shows. John will be joining us for the NFL draft show. Again, we start out at 7, we end about 9, but we'll make sure we get through at least the first 7 picks where the Jets and Giants are. And we'll talk a little about tonight. But like I said, folks, I don't have a lot in the can. There is just not a lot of stuff to talk about in the worlds of sports and music. Forget it. The best thing I had tonight was Iron Maiden's about to start practicing with their new drummer, their first new drummer since the 80s when Nico McBrain came on and replaced Clive Burr. Now he's being replaced. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Other than that, I think the biggest news topic of the day was it was nothing in the world of music, just nothing there. Let me bring up Blabbermouth on my screen so I have some stuff to reference. See, Metallica announces a new documentary, a Metallica documentary. We need a Metallica documentary. Why we need a new picture of Jeff. It's like we don't need it anymore. Let's see. My screens are disappearing. Okay. We can talk about Rachel Bolan shoots down Tracy Gunn's claim Skid Row is leaving millions of dollars on the table. Gene Simmons is still sad about Ace and Peter. Boy, oh boy, we never talked about that before, huh? All right, let's get the show kicked off. Maybe Jeff's got something he can bring up. This could be a very quick show. What's up there, Phil DeGumati? This could be a very quick show tonight. I don't know the answer. But let's get it kicked off anyway. Let's see what Jeff's got. My dad's hanging in there. And guys, if you guys have anything you want to talk about, by all means, like I said, one more time, guys, just be patient. If you ain't realized after 40, and one thing I have to tell you, the Democrats are all kind of cannibalized themselves. Now they're all coming out. I knew Joe Biden was a puppet, was a meat puppet. I was telling you he was a meat puppet. So anybody for 4 years who told you he was a competent human being, now they're all coming out with books. They're all, I knew it. I'm throwing this one under the bus. They're all cannibalizing themselves. God bless you. And let me tell you something. When AOC and Jasmine Crockett are your two lead stars, you guys are in big trouble. And I'll tell you one more thing on the politics, and then we'll get to the show. If anybody didn't see Hannity the other night, John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana, had about the funniest line. And he said, that AOC was the reason why they put directions on a shampoo bottle. And I think that was the funniest line of all time. So God bless you. If you're a Democrat or you lean Democrat and you're looking for somebody to lead the party out of the wilderness, woo-hoo, God bless you. Anyway, let's kick the show off. Thanks for checking in, guys. If you got anything, throw it up on the screen. We'll talk a little NFL draft. We'll talk a little baseball. I'm not sure what else we could talk about tonight, but whatever's on your mind, please put it out there. Otherwise, this will be a very quick show. All right, let's get the show kicked off. We do that by bringing on my partner in crime, my buddy of 40 years, Mr. Jeff. Why he's wearing sunglasses in the house, Talwinski. Okay, what do you got?
What do you mean, what do I got, Tom? Explain. Ask. What does that mean? What does that mean?
You're in your house. It's fairly late in the day, and you're wearing sunglasses.
I am.
So either you're trying to reprise John Belushi's role in what's the name of the movie now? I'm drawing a blank. One of the best movies of all time. Oh my God, that Animal House, Blues Brothers. Either you're trying to reprise John Belushi's role in the Blues Brothers, or you think your team's about to sign Aaron Rodgers again, because that's what you were wearing when they signed Aaron Rodgers. So why the sunglasses in your house?
That has nothing to do with either.
All right, so
you want either. How about I know what it has to do with it.
Go ahead. What is it that you
incompetence?
Incompetence?
Total incompetence
in
just about everything, but specifically Madden.
Well, I mean, if I can let me remind you something.
Please.
Frank, just for the record, Frank, last Thursday night we got off the air and we played Madden, and I whooped his ass 49-21. Just completely took him apart. Then we played again, I think Sunday night, and I lost by 3 points, and I was driving, and time ran out. So I took my beating like a man, and I wasn't happy about it. I'll be the first to tell you I hate losing, but I lost. But if this guy thinks he's going to come on here and brag and be all braggadocious, he's out of his mind, because last Thursday night he went screaming into the night with his tail between his legs. So,
do I get my rebuttal?
You get your rebuttal now. Go ahead.
All right, Frank. First of all, we actually have Frank Catalano as the judge of this one. No, Frank. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. The problem started a couple weeks ago when Tommy was using the Giants, and he got his ass fucking handed to him by about 20-something points
versus
the Jets. All right. His excuse was, "Oh, Drew Lock was my starting quarterback." All right, you lost. Take your loss like a man.
I did.
No, Tom, I didn't say a word when you were talking. I appreciate you to just sit there. If you could silence your mic, that'd be best for everybody. Thank you. I took my beating like a man. Okay. Tommy had to switch teams. He had to go from the Giants to the Lions, which then forced me to switch teams. And then I went from the Jets to the Ravens, and he ended up beating him, but yes, by 3 points. But when you hold the ball and you're not doing anything with the ball and you're just letting time run out on a video game, you're not showing any kind of sportsmanship. All you're doing, because he forgets to tell you how I came back. I was down in one of those games by like 14 points, and I lost by 4 points or whatever it was.
No. You got beat by 2 touchdowns.
No.
More than 2 touchdowns. You got smoked.
No. A couple weeks ago, we played a game.
Yes, that game. Yes. Okay.
Yes. And that set off this chain of events. Now the bitch, what does he do? I don't hear from him during the week. He doesn't send no text, no nothing. And he's like a fucking thief in the night. You want to play? And then he'll duck away. Then you want to play? Then he'll duck away. Instead of being a man, stand up and being a man. I'm laying the challenge down right now on the fucking show. On the show, I'm laying the challenge right now. You, me, same fucking place. Let's do this.
Listen, as soon as the show's over, we can crank it right up and play.
No. I want you within arm's length of me.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be that close to you.
Not only do I want it, I want a broadcast on this fucking show. I want Jets versus Giants. I don't give a fuck where it is. I want it same room. I will beat you by 14 points or better.
All right. So here's for Frank and everybody who cares out there for the record. So I get to use a demoralized Giants team with Drew Lock as my quarterback instead of the team I want to pick. And I did. I used the Giants for weeks.
Once again, come to my fucking house. I'll go to your house. You could pick your team there. You don't have to use the computer team. You just play quick play, bang there. There'll be Daniel Jones who'll get demoralized once again, and you'll get your ass kicked.
All right, well, we'll have to make that happen. In the meantime, if you care to step up,
I hear excuses.
There's no excuses. I got none.
Give me a date.
I'll let you know.
I got to see what's going on.
I have to see. I have a life. I work for full time for a living, and
what do you think I do? Fucking sit here and collect.
You work 3 minutes from your house.
It doesn't matter. You pass my fucking house to go home.
I do not.
You don't go to Staten Island to go home.
I do not. I leave out of my office every day in Manhattan. I go through the Lincoln Tunnel, and
what time do you leave your house?
In the morning?
No, not in the morning. You know we can't play in the morning.
Oh, yeah, I got you. So what time? I leave my office at 4:00 every day.
So
Midtown Manhattan.
Okay, so you're the man. Tell him, say I got a meeting. I got to go to.
I unfortunately have.
You're throwing up fucking shit. You're throwing up shit.
Either way, folks.
You're throwing up shit. You got a paddle here.
We are
paddle here.
No paddling. See, the problem is, I've never complained on any team. He can pick any team he wants and play with any team he like. It doesn't bother me. I can care less. I got to go out and beat whatever's on the field. For him, it's you picked the wrong team. You picked it. You know what? It's
anytime I got a beating, I took my beating like a man.
I'm just saying. It doesn't matter to me who you're a big shot. The minute I beat you, I got to get a different team. Now you went and got the Ravens. Okay, so
the Detroit Lions were rated higher than the Jets.
Yeah,
and okay, and yeah. All right, so I got another team. And then once I got the other team, then it evened the odds.
All right, let's just make this bet. The next time we play, right? Next time we play, we do it random.
You can't. I don't know how you could do random.
All right, so here's what you do. Whatever team pops up on the screen first, you can pick the direction up or down that I go, and it'll be the first team. We'll go 8 teams in, and whatever team that is, that's the team you got to pick.
No way. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. No way.
Why not?
Because I want you next to me, right there. I want you in a Giants uniform. I want me in a Jets uniform, and that's the only way to get it done. The only way to get it done.
All right, then we will have to try to do that next week. No problem.
When I'm done,
the
winner of that game gets to pick who goes first in home run derby.
Now see that I am very interested in. If we could actually pick players from the past.
Let me tell you something. That alone is worth telling your wife you're going to work and coming straight home, and me go park around the corner for an hour and wait for my wife to go to work, cook mac and cheese and eat tuna all day, and play that shit all day. Because when you see some of the players that you could pick in that,
really?
Oh my dude, I was using Luke Gehrig against Ken Griffey Jr.
That's great.
It was fucking awesome, man. Luke Gehrig, he looks just like him. He gets up the bat, swings like him. Everything, the mannerisms, everything is the same. It's beautiful.
Great. That is great. That's one of the things I don't like about the new Maddens and the new, like, you don't really get to use past players or past teams. In the old Maddens, you could pick, they had some ways to pick like Super Bowl teams, and it was fun. I
disagree, Tom, because I haven't explored too much of that game because I can't wait to play, and I just go on and play what I want to play. But you can load different rosters. You
can, and you can also go to Ultimate Team and you can build a team. I've done that. You have to do these challenges, and I've picked players from the past on those. Like John Madden's my starting left guard on the Ultimate Team, but I haven't played a game with it yet. Like I haven't figured out how to do it yet. So it's very involved, and I just haven't had a lot of time to do it lately. It's kind of craziness right now, but I would like to get more into it and figure it out. Maybe we need like a Madden guru to come in and show us how to get all these hidden things and find these different teams. But you're right. You can go online and download different rosters. And
you can also, just so you know, what Madden do you got? Madden 25, I'd imagine, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You could pick certain draft classes.
Okay. That didn't know that.
Yeah. If you're playing the season, and it'll say mock draft, and it'll ask you, like, you could draft like certain things. The only reason I don't fuck with it too much is because, God forbid, my season gets compromised.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to be pissed because it's a lot of time and effort.
Oh, yeah. No, believe me. I'm in my second season now. And I'm in the middle of it. And, it gets, it's like after a while, it's one thing if you play the 20-minute version or you play the 60-minute version, you can move faster. But I've also, like I said, spent a lot of time doing all these different challenges, and they unlock these cards, and the cards are a player, and you choose a player, and he's on your roster, and then you got to build it. It's like, oh my God, it's so much work. I'm sure there's shortcuts to it. I just haven't had time to figure it out. Just been.
I know, like
I might have a lot more time in the near future. So I might have more time to play around with it. Who knows?
Why would happen?
My industry's real slow right now, so it's. It's treacherous times. I'm not that concerned, but it is going to be a very slow year.
Hopefully that's picks up for you.
Yeah, listen, it's not a worry at this point.
I wouldn't want you to use the economy as an excuse for getting your ass kicked. I'm concerned about losing my house. I'm concerned my wife leaving me. All this other shit. My kids hating me, all this other shit. I don't want to.
I'll have to sell my PlayStation 5. So.
Fuck you! I will buy one. And whatever one is the harder one to use is the one I'm buying too.
There we go. Well, guys, we're Hard Rock Sports at Chef and Tom, and we're here on Thursday night with. Gotta tell you, this is about the slowest show I can remember all the time. I'm telling you guys, there is just. Not a lot out there, but maybe my dad will spark it a little bit. We'll talk a little about Aaron Rodgers, still hasn't signed yet. Louis Pica mentioned Jalen Milroe in the second round. Louis, I'm with you. Milroe's a really tough guy to figure out. He's the quarterback for Alabama, and he's another one of those guys who's a really good athlete, doesn't throw the football too bad. He's very thin, and he's got a lot of issues with his throwing style and ability. For me, he's definitely a guy that if you could draft and leave him on your roster for a few years, like 2, maybe into his 3rd year, and not rush him on the field, he could do something. He's a couple of guys that way. But boy, oh boy, don't bring him in and think you're playing him in year 1 or even, in my opinion, year 2. So, they did come out with some mock drafts. I saw in the post. We'll bring that up. We'll talk a little bit about what the Jets might do. I keep, Jeff, one thing I keep hearing about the Jets is them drafting the kid from Boise State, Ashton Genty, and he's by far the best running back in the draft. He might even be the second or third best player in the draft. I just don't see how the Jets could draft another running back.
Well, they're the Jets, Tom, and they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. So, of course, they're going to draft something that they don't need.
Yeah.
When you're a team that has needs, okay, almost any player is a safe bet as long as he's a good player. When you have what I think is a very good running back in Breece Hall, he might not be, I'm not going to say he's the best running back in the NFL. I'm going to say that he could be a better running back than he already is in the NFL if you build around him. And I think that when you have Woody, who has no fucking clue to what he's doing, and he's proved that over and over again, and you got Aaron Glenn that, once again, as a Jets coach, is saying the right things, but let's see what he does. You got guys that are just totally incompetent in all the right positions, and it's another disaster. And it's just something that's not going to change because it's somebody new. It's a nightmare. That's all it is to it. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. I myself have the Jets, and I've changed my mind a couple times, going either receiver or offensive tackle. So I don't see the Jets taking a running back, and I'm gonna get my dad on in a minute, but what it is, Jeff, is for the last month, maybe more, there's a lot of guys out there who have to fill the space, and you can't keep going out and say the Jets are taking this guy, the Jets are taking this guy, the Jets take the same guy every week. So every week they got to fill the space and say, well, I think they could take so and so, and they could take. So we're into this mode right now with 2 weeks to the draft, where people just throwing shit against the wall. 1 minute, Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the thing, and the next minute he may go in the fourth round. So
Shedeur Sanders is definitely not going in the fourth round. I can tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well,
second round at worst. And as far as the Jets go, if the smart pick for them, when you just took Justin Fields, you signed him as a free agent. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have nothing else to lose. See what this guy can do. Shore up the offensive line. Go offensive lineman. Get the pieces you need. Okay, you already proved that you had a better team when you had Nick Mangold and the Brickenshaw Ferguson about 15 years ago on the line. You took them out of the same draft or one draft or after another, and you had some key players on the offensive line. You had some stability. Mm-hmm. Get some stability on the offensive line. And I heard the same thing, Frank, about Breece Hall going to Denver. I hope not, but it is.
That would make no sense to me. I have to, unless the Jets feel that they can't pay him next year. I guess he must be doing money next year, I think.
Him, Garrett Wilson, and Sauce Gardner. But I mean, why are you going to trade a running back of the caliber of Breece Hall only to draft a running back?
I would keep him this year. If you have a bad year, maybe you trade him before the trade deadline. But I would go out there because he's going to go out there and be hungry. Again, unless you're looking to pick up capital, so the Jets have a few pieces that are worth something, obviously Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, like you mentioned, there's a few pieces that you could trade off. I would trade Gardner before I would trade Breece Hall, to be honest with you.
Even if you trade Breece Hall and get draft capital, what are you spending it on? A running back. You'd be spending it on a running back.
Well, no, because you got the other kid.
But what did you just say? You opened everything up with this other kid, Janetti.
No, what I'm saying is if you traded Breece Hall and you got draft capital, and then you drafted an offensive lineman, and then you grab this draft is very deep in running backs. So to me,
I know, but you started it off.
No, that wasn't my thought. My thought, I only put out there what I read in the paper that people are pushing that.
Think about what you said.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's probably what they would do. Let's trade Breece Hall, get draft capital, and then draft this kid.
Well, here's the thing. So now you would be getting this kid at a much bigger discount than you pay Breece Hall next year. You're not going to probably pay Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson. The Cowboys are trying to do it, and from what all indications are, they're trying to unload Dak Prescott in the worst way. But they're not finding any takers for the $60 million and the amount of injuries and everything else.
Yeah, but look at the money that they gave Dak Prescott. It's another story. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't see the point of it's a running back. Either keep what you got or Like, I don't understand. What are you going to let him play for 2-3 years? Get rid of him. Play for 2
Yeah.
3 years, get rid of him.
Well, I mean that seems to be the cycle. I mean, most teams, we talk about it all the time. Most teams do not have a lot of their players on second contracts. You get that low contract for 4 years, and then you're shipping a bunch of them off, and maybe one or two of that draft class winds up with a second contract.
I know, and Frank Catalano, I understand that. I know that, and believe me, I understand that. But here's the thing, okay? It's showing no continuity.
No, I agree.
It's showing no. What's the word I'm looking for? No, they're not showing any loyalty to their players. So now, if you're Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson, you'd be like, well, they just traded him. I guess I'm next because I'm due for a contract. And if they didn't want to pay him, they're not going to pay me. And I understand that this is the business the NFL is, but the Jets are a team that wins, between 3 to 7 games a year, haven't been in the playoffs in God knows how long. But, also Breece Hall is really good too. I understand that, you're trying to look to better the team, but when is this kid going to go in the first round? So you're going to get rid of Breece Hall, draft him, and you're going to be in the same position.
I want to get my dad on right after this, but to me, the only way that makes sense, and hear me out, Jeff, I wouldn't do this, but the only way it makes sense, you trade Breece Hall, you wind up with maybe an extra number 2 and maybe an extra number 4 or 3 pick if you got that lucky. So let's say you trade Hall, you're going with last year's rookie, and then you bring in this kid in, Ashton Genty, on a rookie deal, who this kid that people compare to, he, like I said, I would tell you he might be the second or third best player in this draft. And then you're going to get him for 3 or 4 years for next to nothing, when next year Hall's going to be looking for that big payday that you're not going to want to give him. And so to me, it only makes sense. But now, again, you've traded Hall. You got a couple extra picks. You just drafted another running back at number 7, and now you're looking to fill the rest of your holes the other way. So it makes sense. I necessarily wouldn't do it. There's more holes and there's better players for the Jets to grab hold on. But it ain't the dumbest thing in the world I've ever heard. So
no, listen, I understand the concept behind it. I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing: you have a good running back, okay?
Right.
Draft a player that's going to help the team right now.
Oh, I agree.
You have a good running back. This is like having a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
You say, you know what? I'm going to buy a new loaf of bread because I bought this one yesterday, but it's a day later. So let's fuck this loaf of bread, throw it out, get this loaf of bread, but it's the same bread.
No, I got it. But the only problem is the second loaf of bread is cheaper than the first loaf of bread.
I understand
and
if you build the team up now.
Okay, I got you.
Better pieces, get the foundation, get an offensive line going, get another wide receiver. They got so many different.
Agreed. Last thing on this, and we'll come back to it, but the other thing is it allows you to have money the following year to continue to build your team.
Yeah, if you want to trade Breece Hall next year.
Well, again, the problem is he's not on the deal that he's on right now. So right now you're getting Breece Hall at a cheap price. Next year he's a free agent. You might not be able to trade him. So you're now losing him for nothing.
The past has shown that he'll probably be out of it by October.
Well, that's a different story. That's a whole different story.
In October and get probably the same amount of shit.
All right, let's get my pops on, and then we'll come back and we'll continue this conversation, whatever you guys want to talk about. And what else? But let's get my pops on. He's been waiting a while. What's up, Pop?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Mr. Florio?
What's going on, Pop?
I really don't know. There's really nothing. Like you said before,
it's one of those times of the year that just, next week it'll be a lot of draft stuff. We'll probably do a lot of conversations on a pre-draft. The following week is the draft. The week after we'll break down the draft. So it gets, and then you'll build into, there's OTAs will start to happen. But right this minute, baseball's a little lackluster. It's quiet.
I'm terribly surprised. For the first time in a while, I watched the Ranger game.
Oh, me too. I watched last night.
How can you go from the top of the heap down to the toilet paper?
Yeah, you know what, Pop?
Terrible.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they're all blaming the coach. That's where he's going to get fired. But I have to tell you, it was a very lackluster team. Shesterkin took a major dive. I don't know if it's, I think he had his wife and him had a kid. He got his big contract. I would tell you, Kreider was terrible this year. There's so many of them it was just a very bad team. I watched last night. I don't know did you watch last night?
Yeah.
So first off, I watched because John Davidson was back. I grew up watching games with Davidson and Rosen.
Is he back for good, or is he
No,
just?
he came back for one game because Sam Rosen retiring at the end. A couple more games and Rosen's done. So they brought JD back so they could do a game together. I actually DVR'd it, not DVR'd it. I DVR'd it so I can watch the whole thing. I want to hear the end, and it was fun to listen to those two guys. But Frank Catalano said it perfectly. That team has no heart. And I don't know what Chris Jury's going to do, if Chris Jury's even going to be here next year. I'll be honest with you. I never like to see it, but I think it's time to bring in the fiery guy. I would go out and bring Messier in. I've been against it for a long time. I think this team needs a guy like that who's going to pull you over the boards and smack the crap out of you if you don't play the game the right way, because I'm watching these guys, and if I got to watch Keandre Miller give up a puck in his own end, I think Fox is one of the most overrated Rangers I've ever watched play. Kreider, I don't know what happened to the guy, if he's hurt.
Isn't he old, Kreider?
Huh?
Isn't he old, Kreider?
I'm going to tell you, I can't imagine he's much older than 31, 32.
He's been on the fucking Rangers for a long time.
Yeah, no doubt, and he's had a great run, and he's been a really good Ranger. But what I watched this year, and I don't watch every game. I don't have the MSG on my system. But Pop, it is impossible to watch most Ranger games. This is one of the most inconsistent teams. And yeah, maybe Frank Catalano's right. Maybe this guy's good for 1 year as a head coach. But at some point, it ain't the coach. It's got to be the players. And this year, to me, the players just quit and just didn't give any effort at all.
They stink a rule, my God. I kept watching them, and I couldn't believe they couldn't pass the puck. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
The goaltender, they were scoring on him like he wasn't even.
Quick had a very bad game. He's been very good this year, Quick, in most times that I've watched him, and he's a good, solid backup guy. But he had a terrible night last night. And listen, when the season came to life, they got shut up by the Devils over the weekend. They were up 4-3, third period, and then next thing you know, the Flyers just ran off a bunch of goals. They lost 8-5. So this team lacks any heart. I don't know if Drury's going to stay. I liked Drury up into what I see this team this year. And the problem is they made no effort to make a change, and they just kept saying, all right, don't worry about it. They'll wake up, and they never woke up. So to me, this is one of the most embarrassing Ranger teams. Frank, I don't know how you feel, but to me, I agree. I didn't understand any of this at this point. Play the kid. Just give the kid some ice time. Put Rempe out there, let him play. I can't watch, Zibanejad and Panarin trying to make the fancy pass for the one-timer. Shoot the freaking puck. The only guy I've watched this year I liked is JT Miller, and he came over in a trade in the middle of the year. So this Ranger team needs to be imploded. New coach, possibly a new GM, and everybody but Shesterkin. And Adam Fox is one of the most overrated hockey players I've ever watched.
I agree with you.
He really is. I know he's supposed to be this generation's Brian Leach. He ain't even close. I'm not even sure he's this generation's Matt Sozio. I mean, this guy is just overrated, never plays big, always seems to be hurt, and just never takes over a hockey game. I've watched too much hockey in my life. Just never seems – the Rangers never seem to have the guy who just puts the team on his back and scores. I hate Ovechkin with a passion. But when you watch that guy, he takes over hockey games. Yes. When I watched, all the great ones, they would put the team on their back and skate and force the issue. And the problem they have is they don't have that guy. And they just a bunch of wimps. And to be honest with you, I would get rid of 3/4 of the team, not even think about it. So it was disgusting to watch.
You have nothing to lose by doing that.
At this point, I mean, you go from President's Trophy nearly to the Stanley Cup to you didn't even make the playoffs this year. And it was pitiful. It wasn't like, everybody was that much better. They just played like crap all year. And
I hate to say it, but they're like the Denver Broncos of the NHL.
It's very true.
Every year.
You're right. You're not that wrong.
I have to tell you,
You're not that wrong.
I have to tell you, it's pathetic. And
Uh-oh.
What happened?
We finally got rid of him, Mr. Florio, huh?
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know what happened to them. They
I
went
used to
from
watch
Stanley Cup to toilet bowl.
I used to watch
I don't
hockey
know what
all the
happened,
time,
but okay.
and ever since they went on strike, hockey's never been the same for me. I just can't get into it and watch them anymore, man. I just can't.
They're not even playing European style hockey with good body checks.
Yeah,
No
I can't even.
checking, no nothing.
You know what? I can't even tell you what style they play to anymore. The Rangers don't have an identity. You know, they don't block shots. They don't take the body. They don't hustle. They're not great. They're not great scoring goals. Like, I don't know what this Ranger team is supposed to be. They just, they're not hard workers, and I don't know if they just hate the coach so much, if they don't like each other. But I'm telling you, Louis, I don't know if you see it. When I watch these guys, if I got to watch Keandre Miller to turn over the puck in his own end anymore, if I got to watch, Adam Fox just disappear, and Panarin and Zibanejad making one extra, shoot the puck. You can't score unless you shoot. Shoot the puck. Put it on net. Made 100 times. It goes in 20.
Frank Catalano, you said on more than one occasion that they hate the coach so much that they quit. All right, that might be true, but let me ask you something. You're now going to be looked upon in a bad light by the rest of the NHL. Nobody's going to want you on the team if they know that you're quitting because you don't like the coach.
Yeah,
you got to go out there as a player and
you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed if that's what you're trying to do. You make yourself look like a fool.
Yeah,
I mean, how bad could you be?
Tom, I got to go to the other room real quick.
Again, Frankie, I agree that Panarin's not a bad play, but they all just hold the puck too long. Shoot the damn thing. Louis, as far as Ovechkin, I hate the guy, to be honest with you. I've never liked him. I thought the NHL did a really nice job. Did you see that his goal and all the celebration Sunday? Ovechkin broke Gretzky's record.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, I watched it live. I happened to stumble on it, and just after I turned it on, he scored the goal. I thought the NHL did a nice job with the whole presentation. Yeah, I get it, Frankie, and it's all good. It pains me to hear them say he's the greatest goal scorer. I get he scored more goals than Gretzky, same amount of time, so I give him all the credit in the world. Gretzky's still the greatest scorer that I ever saw. I mean, they won't come near his points or his assist record. But the NHL did a nice job. I thought it was a little long. I mean, it must have took 20 minutes to get that whole ceremony set up and done, and then the players back on the ice. It was like, oh my God, it was like forever. But it just goes to show: shoot the puck, Barry, shoot the puck, because you can't score unless you do. But yeah, this Ranger team is an embarrassment. And again, they all. Frankie, I know you want. I would keep Shesterkin because I think he's a great goaltender. What was wrong with him this year, I don't know. But they all seem to suffer for it. And if you want to hang into Panarin, and because your dog's named after Zibanejad, you want to hold on to him. Other than that, I would maybe try to bring JT Miller back. I'm playing the kids because these guys are just bums. Yeah. Every one of them. Lafreniere.
I couldn't believe how bad they were. I'm watching the game, and I'm sitting there saying, "You got to be kidding!" There's 15 minutes gone by. They haven't shot. They had 2 power plays. They had no shots on goal. How could you not?
Yeah,
like you said, worst come to worst, shoot it in. Maybe you get lucky.
Yeah, it's pathetic, and I'm almost glad I can't watch because it would be frustrating. So they were on True TV last night, I think.
They were on TNT.
Yeah, so there was a national broadcast for whatever reason, and I got to watch it. So I watched the second period, part of the third, and I DVR'd the whole thing so that way I can, some point, just the nostalgia of JD. To me, JD Rosen, JD Emmerich is two of the best announcer teams in all the sports. They were just, it was like watching magic with those guys, especially Emmerich and JD. I got to work with those guys when I was at Fox. I did a whole bunch of hockey games with them, and they couldn't have been nicer guys. But they made the game fun, and it was nice to see JD back behind the mic last night doing the game. So
All right, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah.
Have a good day and talk to you guys later.
All right, Pops. I'll talk to you over the weekend.
Later, Mr.
Okey-doke.
All right, that's my dad. He checks in with us every week, and let me see what's in the paper. Again, you guys got anything? Frankie, what do you think of your Mets? Everybody's on Soto, yelling and screaming, and listen, rightfully so. He's not coming through, but anybody who's regretting that trade or that free agent signing, you're out of your mind. It's way too early, but I think he's just pressing. But
how can anybody say anything about any fucking team right now? It's May.
Okay.
The year just started.
I couldn't agree with you more.
It's still April.
Yeah, it's again, he's not hitting. But listen, to be honest with you, the Mets are playing well with their pitching, and Alonso's having a great early start to the season.
See, I will say this much, man. At least they show up and they play games. You know what I mean? I know of teams that hit and run. They play, they win. They play, they win. They duck, they go hide someplace.
There we go.
There's no men. Men don't play sports anymore. Women play sports.
There we go.
Men's leagues.
Here we go. Are we done yet? Are you finished?
Women.
Let me know if you're done. Let me know if you're done.
Hold on.
Yeah, there we go. Let me know.
You got PS5? You look like a man. I bet you'd play every day. And if you got your ass kicked, you come back the next day and try to kick mine or somebody else's.
Let me know when you're done. I'll just catch them on the newspaper. Let me know when you're finished.
Yeah, go ahead. Catch them.
let me know when you're done. Anyway, but let me ask you. So Aaron Rodgers is still not signed. Any thoughts to this? Why are the Steelers putting up with this?
First of all, here's my thoughts.
Go ahead.
Pittsburgh is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have turned around and walked away from Aaron Rodgers 3 weeks ago. Okay. But I mean, come on. What are you waiting for? You don't have a starting caliber quarterback on it. Mason Rudolph is your quarterback. Are you fucking kidding me? Even if Shador Sanders is tied to them at number 7 or number 21.
21.
The Jets are 7.
Yeah.
What are you going to take? I don't know what to say. I blame the Steelers all around unless they have an agreement in place and they say, we'll announce it on the 25th. We're happy. We don't want to we're no rush. They're not even bringing anybody else in. They have to have something in place. They have to. And if he turns around and backs out at the last minute and fucks them, are you fucking kidding me? Drew Lock is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, man. Come on.
Well, right now, so I read someone, and I'm trying to find it. I'm on Pro Football Talk. They were talking. They said somebody. So and so says the Steelers are high on Mason Rudolph as their quarterback, and I'm going. Of course they are. He's the only quarterback on their roster. Why would they be high on him?
To borrow your line, of course they are. They have to. What do you think their fan base must be? They must be getting ready to storm the stadium and burn it to the ground.
Yeah. And now, to me, there's a chance that I heard that, Frank. Yeah, I did see that too. And again, now if you're going to trade J.J. Watt, move up in the draft to try to get to one of the quarterbacks, it's possible. I don't think they're getting high enough up there to get Cam Ward. Shador Sanders' stock seems to be plummeting. Now, it could be plummeting so somebody else, somebody might want him in the middle of the round, or maybe it's the Steelers. I think the Steelers may get a shot at Jackson Dart. I think that's where he may wind up. It would make total sense.
Tom, I hear so many things about Jackson Dart, anywhere from the Giants to 3, to the Jets at 7, to New Orleans at 9, to the Steelers at 21, whatever it is, down into the second round. Wherever Jackson Dart goes will not be a surprise to me at all.
It can't be. Again, this all goes back to people just talk about it because they have no choice and they move people around. But the Steelers' predicament, I don't understand it because they're not, where they're drafted, they're certainly not guaranteed to get any quarterback. That to me is a first rounder. You can wind up with Quinn Ewers or the kid from Ohio State. There are quarterbacks you don't want it in that spot. But to me, even if they were to sign Rodgers, it's got to be a 1-year deal at this point. I mean, I can't imagine coming off the last 2 years he's going to play more than one more year.
Listen, if they have been waiting for him to walk through the doors, and they've been waiting for him for this long. I wouldn't even fucking sign him. I would just be like, nah, forget it. Forget it now. First of all, you made us look stupid. To me, organizations such as the Steelers, who kind of run their operation at a very high level, all right,
Yeah.
and very rarely do they look stupid, if at all, look stupid, and have had the success that they've had. You're making them. Aaron Rodgers is making them look stupid. I feel.
I agree. I agree with you because that's the only team that he's being linked to at this point. So it's like
there's no other team to be linked to, Tom.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more.
It was the Jets, and that's because he's going to be a June 1st cut.
Casualty, yeah.
So that's it. I don't understand it at all. I really don't. And Mike Tomlin, this is a guy that's been in the league for almost 20 years as a coach. Say what you want about John, and his thoughts and everything on the Steelers, but this is a guy that's pretty successful. You're letting Aaron Rodgers make you look stupid.
Yeah, it's again, I don't. Here's the problem: if you were as
one of us is frozen. I guess it's Tommy. I don't know.
Even if you said, "Hey, we're going to explore Aaron Rodgers and maybe dump one of those two guys," I can understand that. But right now, your quarterback is Mason Rudolph. If you don't draft or sign anybody, so you're going into the season with Mason Rudolph and maybe Drew Lock as your two quarterbacks, makes no sense to me.
Well, you know what, Tom? I don't know what to say. You let both quarterbacks from last year walk out the door.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that either one of them is going to bring your team to the promised land. But at least they knew the system and they had a year under their belt in it. So now you're going to go with a quarterback that has to learn the system. If you get Aaron Rodgers now, unless he's home reading and studying and all of this is tongue in cheek and they're winking at each other like, when are you going to say it? Okay, all right. You know what I mean? Like he's losing time. He's not getting anything like that. That these guys get the playbook and shit way, way in advance. It's not happening. And what are you waiting for?
Yeah, you're only a couple of weeks away from OTA starting. I mean, so to me, you'd want him in camp. You want him in the building, learning the system. You want him you want him on the field throwing to some of the guys. I mean, DK Metcalf, Pickens. It's not a bad team. Again, the problem becomes, who's your quarterback? So, listen, he is a dick, Frankie. There's no doubt about it. We all know it.
Yeah.
I think from my point, I think Jeff said it right. It's the fact that the Steelers are allowing him to string him along because everybody knows it's the Steelers or maybe retirement at this point. I would think.
Look, this is the third team that he's dicked off in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about that. You're talking about somebody on the professional level, the NFL level. Somebody who was a highly regarded quarterback. And this is how you conduct your business as a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know how I hope that the NFL repays him? I hope when he's eligible for the NFL, for the Hall of Fame, I hope he has to wait 2 or 3 years to get in.
Yeah, it won't, but you're right. It would serve him right for doing that. Yes.
Maybe the Steelers do have a plan. Maybe let's look at this real quick. Maybe they do have somewhat of a plan. Okay, if they do, they're certainly not tipping their hat about it.
No, they're going into this like, oh, we're good. We got our guy, and I think their hope is that he comes in for the 1 year. Now, maybe he's looking for a second-year contract. Maybe he's looking for a second year that they're not looking to give him. That would have
been said. Don't forget one other thing, Tom, before you go off and say anything else. He spent 6 hours there.
Yeah,
there were guys that go there to these destinations, these teams, and there for a day or two.
Yeah.
Talking to people, touring the complex,
having dinner. Sure. Yeah.
They went for 6 hours. 6 hours. Just by the time you got there and you said hello to a few people, you burned God knows how much time. You know what I mean? What could they have possibly have hammered out in 6 hours? So if it was a second year to the deal, I
Yeah.
think you would have heard something like the only thing is the length of the contract. Or, don't forget, like you said, the Jets, he's getting paid.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What more could they do? Just offer him a little bit more, veterans minimum, right? I believe you said.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I think if you're asking me, he doesn't want to be on the 1 year deal. He wants a second year. I don't know if he wants a guaranteed, if he wants a big bonus, and he wants the bonus for next year. Knowing Rodgers, nothing would shock me.
He's already getting money up the ass.
He's already made more money, I think, than almost any player ever. He's already there. When his career is done, you would think he'll wind up with a lucrative contract somewhere to do something, whether it's TV. I know he's been interested in Hollywood. Somebody somewhere will give him a lucrative deal. He'll do commercials. That's just the nature of the beast. But right now, if I'm the Steelers, the problem I have is, I think the Steelers are going into this like, well, we're either going to get him or not. Either way, we're drafting a quarterback with the first pick. I think to me, that's the Steelers' goal.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't tell me that you feel good about your goal, a playoff team last year, even if they kind of backed into the playoffs and got thrown out face first. Okay, you can't feel good about your plan going into the playoffs, thinking that like, okay, we either we have him or we don't, and you're going to sign him for 1 year, and then by the time he gets there, what is he going to do?
But here's the thing. So how much are the Steelers worried about this year if you're telling me they're looking to trade TJ Watt, sorry, not JJ, TJ. He's one of the better players in the league. He's probably one of their best players. He's a dominant force, and you're looking to trade him. So what you're telling me is you're building for next year maybe. Maybe you're thinking for this year with a couple extra draft picks. But to me, that you don't have a legit quarterback on your roster. You're looking to trade your best player. You brought in DK Metcalf, who really has been no impact up in Seattle with the decent quarterbacks. So I don't know what the Steelers plan. I think I'm going back to Frankie's thing. I don't know if the Steelers have a real plan.
Let me ask you something, Pete. Can you get a starting quarterback by trading TJ Watt?
I don't think so. I mean, who would you? I mean, I
don't know.
Who would be available for a trade? Like, so if you traded TJ Watt, you'd have to look for a team that maybe had. I'll use the Giants for the sake. You have to trade someone to the Giants where you would wind up with a Russell Wilson type or Jameis Winston. Nobody's trading. Nobody's going to trade. Josh Allen for TJ Watt.
Nobody's going to trade Josh Allen for TJ Watt. But what about to Atlanta for Kirk Cousins?
That's interesting. Now that I got to tell you, that is interesting. That would be a very interesting move right there. If you traded TJ Watt to Atlanta and you came back with Kirk Cousins, I would tell you that would give you some legitimacy. I mean, you're trading one of your best players and you weakened yourself a little bit. But if you came out of it with a legit starting, if you feel he's a legit starting quarterback, and I believe he is,
I think he put down Arizona, not for nothing. I've heard it more than one place, like maybe just passing, but Kyler Murray leaving Arizona.
Yeah, but who's going to be their backup quarterback? I can't even. I heard his name. I never heard of him.
Maybe they draft a quarterback.
Maybe again. That again. I think a lot of stuff will sort itself out. The question I have is, does Aaron Rodgers make this decision before or after the draft?
Come on. You're going to want him to make that decision ASAP.
Well, the main question: does the Steelers draft pick get impacted by him signing or don't signing? I say no. I say no.
If he doesn't sign now,
right?
I think they're going to be forced to look to get a quarterback in the draft.
But I think you would do that anyway because you need a quarterback next year because you got to figure it's 1 year.
See who's going to be available free agency next year. You're going to see who's possibly in the draft next year as a quarterback.
I mean, there's a better draft class. I would agree with you, but I mean that's an odd one. I don't think you get. I don't think his coming impacts it. I think if they get to one of the one of the top 4 quarterbacks, top 3, I think they would grab them at 21 and be happy about it. I don't think they would draft a different need. I think their big need right now is a quarterback. But if Rodgers is there and they get there, you may be right. Maybe they'll draft something different. Hard Rock and Sports. That's Jeff and I'm Tom. We're every Thursday night. We're 2 weeks from the NFL draft. We're talking a lot of draft right now. I'm gonna switch it over and talk a little music in a minute. But when we get a chance, you guys keep checking us out. I put a lot of stuff up on YouTube. I got a email from Facebook telling me that in June, all of our videos, all of our previous videos will be erased from.
Right.
Yeah, Facebook's doing a clean out of something. So I went and checked, and all our videos are on YouTube. I've started the process of moving them over into our channel. I'm going to kind of dissect some of the interviews, some of the shows I found. When you got banned for using the word tranny, I found the concert we did to support you.
Yeah, I remember that.
I found a bunch of old shows, a bunch of Ross the Boss interviews, Mark Farner. I found a whole bunch of obviously the Lita Ford one's been up there for a while. Bobby Gustafson. So I found a bunch of the interviews, and I'm getting them onto the channel. So if you guys if you search Hard Rock and Sports on YouTube, you can start to see some. I found all of the Tommy John interviews we did. I moved those over. The only one I can't find so far, and it was done on internet radio, so it wasn't ever on YouTube, that I wanted it to keep. And I know I downloaded it, so I'm still checking for different places. Is the full Geezer Butler interview, which wasn't much, by the way. We only had him for 10 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah, he was only on for 10 minutes.
Shit.
Yeah. So I will try to track down as many as I can and slide them over. And if you want to check us out on YouTube, by all means, some of the old interviews are there. I'm going to break some down. And in the future, if we're missing a show, I might throw those up and play those interviews, those shows or interviews all over again, so you guys can hear them. Some of them are good. And today was the first time in a very, very long time I put out an interview request for Geddy Lee as per Jeff's request. And as of the start of the show, there has been no response from his camp.
Well, so, listen, I watched the video with him.
I saw that interview with Mike Wallace, yeah.
And he just seems very laid back, very cool. I could see him like, yeah, I'll do the interview. And here's hoping, because it's not about him as the bass player. It just seems like him as a person would be super interesting. Well,
again, Geddy Lee and Mike Piazza were the inspiration for this show. Do you remember that story?
Yes, you told me. Yes.
Okay, so getting Geddy Lee on and talking baseball with him would be something that would be huge for me, at least. I know it would be for Jeff, because he's such a big fan of his style of playing and of his band. So, but for me, when I heard the Geddy Lee, and you guys get a chance, you can, I'll maybe tell another time, or you can look that up. Just Google Mike Piazza, Geddy Lee, and you'll see the story they tell. And then it was what's his name from Overkill told the story once about him in Dallas and he's a big New York Giant fan. Bobby Blitz and Blitz. Those were the two inspirations for the Hard Rock and Sports show. Why this show got named that, and the idea of bringing people on, a couple like Mark Farner, big football fan. Ross the Boss, a huge baseball fan, some big football fan, and you get those guys on and talk. If JJ French, a big Ranger and Met fan, so when I got to talk to JJ French and we started talking baseball, it was around 2015 when the Mets went to the World Series. So, Geddy Lee is one of the inspirations for the concept of the Hard Rock and Sports show. So,
yeah,
getting him on
more than one occasion.
Yeah, getting Geddy Lee on the show with for a variety of reasons. One of the all-time greats. And yeah, he's got quite the baseball collection. Yeah, if you
yeah. If you saw that, that's pretty fucking wild, man.
Yeah, I'd love to find out how you became. I mean, here's a guy who grew up in Canada when there was no baseball up there. Back in the 50s, where there wasn't probably a lot of baseball on TV to begin with. And I'm curious to see how and when he became a baseball fan. I believe they're Blue Jay fans. They're from the Toronto area, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they're big Blue Jay fans. Him and Alex, they go to baseball games together all the time. That might be the most interesting tandem of all time, as far as two bandmates who may be like the best of friends. Like, you never, ever, ever, ever hear a crossword from either one of them about each other. There's never like we don't want to hang out with each other or jam with each other. Like, they might be the closest I can think of two bandmates who've been together since God's got to be the 60s or early 70s, right?
Yeah, it's a long time. And I just saw something from Geddy Lee saying that, like, I'll go to Geddy's house and, we'll go there and play, and they go in the basement and they just go out down in the basement and jam. And, imagine Geddy Lee, you're going to Geddy Lee's house and you're like, come on, man, let's go in the basement. And next thing you know, he just straps on a guitar or bass and, like, wow,
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind being there handing it to him, much less, And I'm not the biggest Rush fan, but like, you listen to what he plays on bass and sings and everything else he does at the same time. And, it's easy to say that I don't know if there's a better musician in his lifetime that's alive now than, to me, John Entwistle is the best rock bass player of all time, but Geddy Lee is, running a close second. Chris Squire, those are the guys that are. I mean, I love Steve Harris and Geddy and Geezer Butler, but let's face it, those are the guys that they're at the upper echelon of bass players to me.
Oh yeah, and then if you stick Geddy Lee in and realize that he's playing bass and keys at the same time
and singing,
and singing, it's kind of all he needs is the cymbal on his head and the drum between his legs. And the guy's a one-man band, but
yeah,
he's you're right. He probably might be the most underrated musician of our generation, and it's not that he's not thought of as a great bass player, but when you put it all together, he's never the first guy people talk about. Like, he's never the first bass player, he's never the first musician, and I think Rush, to a certain extent, is that underrated band. And even though they had a lot of commercial success, right? I mean, after Moving Pictures, they had a lot of commercial success with their stuff. Maybe too much. But
Moving Pictures kind of well, I mean, they were Permanent Waves put them over, and they had a huge following.
Oh yeah,
Permanent Wave, but Tom Sawyer and Moving Pictures and Limelight, those are the songs that really pushed them to the next level. That's what got me into Rush.
Me too. I mean, that was the first, that was my first Rush album, and I'm not sure how I got that one. I like a lot of the albums, like I can remember my first Maiden album. I remember who I was with when I got Number of the Beast. A lot of albums I can click back to. I don't remember how and when and why I bought Rush, Moving Pictures. But knowing that I did, I would tell you that from that point on, I went backwards and I bought just about everything. And, it's funny because Moving Pictures was a big change from their other stuff. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was completely a lot.
It was a lot more commercial, a lot more radio friendly, small, shorter songs.
Well, actually, I don't know about that. I'm looking at the album now because you're talking about it. That album was 6 minutes and 36 minutes. I'm sorry, 36 minutes long. Permanent Waves, 6 songs.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, Hemispheres.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have the whole album here because of what YouTube does. No, I don't have the whole album there, but I'm trying to, like, Farewell the Kings. That was 3. I don't have the whole album. The way that iTunes did the albums, they broke them up. So, like, when I got the albums, when I downloaded the albums, I got different versions. But like Moving Pictures, the album, the version I got is 2 hours and 39 minutes, but that's because it comes with another 20-song live concert.
Yeah, you could probably Wikipedia Rush, and then it'll have all their albums, the discography, and then you could probably bring it up from there if you really wanted to. But the bottom line is, I don't, Rush is one of those bands that kind of flies under the radar, but when you look at the body of their work, up until, I don't know what album would you kind of say crossed? Was it Distant Early Warning? What was the album that kind of like, all right, that was it, guys? It was too commercial.
I don't know, because like I was never really into them that much,
Yeah.
And the albums I have, I got 2112, Rush, Signals, Roll the Bones, Presto, Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, Hemisphere, Fly By Night, Farewell the Kings, Caress the Steel. I don't have all of the album. I wasn't that much of a Rush fan, but I know that they got way more than that.
Yeah, no. After, I think Distant Early Warning, I think was kind of like it kind of dropped off a little bit. Like it wasn't the full package anymore. I don't know what changed. Maybe it was Neil Peart's health, or maybe his lack of attention to it anymore. But you go back to Permanent Waves and Fly By Night, and those albums. 2112 might be the greatest concept album of all time. I don't like a lot of concept albums. Kiss's Try with the Elder was horrendous. There's been others, obviously. I'd have to sit back and think about it. But 2112, I mean, that might be the best concept album that I can think of.
I got to ask. I have their albums up right now on YouTube, and this is what iTunes offers: Rush, Fly By Night, Caress the Steel, because I don't see Distant Early Warning, 2112, Farewell the Kings, Hemispheres, Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, Presto, Roll the Bones, Counterparts, Test for Echo, Vapor Trails, Snakes and Arrows, and Clockwork Angels. Where is Distant Early Warning? Was that a song?
That was one of the songs on that album. I'm sorry, you're right.
Which album?
I'm trying to think now. I actually have it up now, and you're right. Signals Tour, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, Presto. That I thought that was the name of the album. Studio albums. Grace Under Pressure, Hold Your Fire, Power Windows, Hemisphere, Permanent Waves. Grace Under Fire. He's right. Grace Under Pressure. Sorry, Grace Under Pressure. And the song was on
that was 1984, and you think that's when they
I would say the answer to me the answer is in that time frame. Yeah, I would say Signals wasn't bad. After that, it was, there was a song or two, but Signals wasn't terrible. Bringing it up right now. Signals. Let me give you the playlist on that.
Signals was
Subdivision, The Analog Kid, Chemistry, Digital Man, The Weapon, New World Man, Losing It, and Countdown. It's not terrible. It's okay. After that, I thought it got a little funky. As far as, let's see, Power Windows. I'll give you a quick on Power Windows. Song titles, see how many you know. The Big Money, Grand Designs, Manhattan Project, Marathon, Territories, Middletown Dreams, Emotion Detector, and Mystic Rhymes.
Tom, I got to be honest with you. I don't know anything after Signals. I know certain songs. I know that Presto, Show Don't Tell. I remember that song. And from Roll the Bones, the song Roll the Bones. Other than that, I don't know anything else.
That's why I say, to me, and it's after Signals, I think it takes to major nosedive. Not that there's a lot of terrible stuff. Like I listen to Snake and Arrows. I own the CD. It's not terrible. It's got some decent stuff, but it's almost like the Maiden albums. At toward the end of the 90s, after Brave New World, it kind of it starts to nosedive a little bit. You get a song or two where you used to get a side, a full album, 3/4 of an album. The Rush stuff after that became like maybe 1 or 2 decent songs, and then the rest of them were kind of like ho hum. But Moving Pictures was kind of like, I think, the top. Like, it went all the way up. They did that album, and I think it was the downfall because at everything before that, you barely heard it on the radio. Maybe you heard, Spirit Radio or Free Will might have made it to one of the rock stations, but very little. Maybe caught Fly By Night. Again, the occasional Rush song. Moving Pictures,
Tom Sawyer,
yeah,
Red Barchetta. There's 7 albums, 7 songs. First of all,
yeah,
Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, which is a great song, and then it ended with Vital Signs.
Yeah.
So you had 4 or 5 songs right off the top 7.
Yeah.
Like that's almost the whole album. And I mean, I remember listening to that as a kid. So the first 4 songs were on the album, the first side was Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, and Limelight, and then the other ones were side 2. Is it that's a hard side to beat?
Yeah, I would tell you that is as good. And Tom Sawyer was in the rotation for like the video, like Saturday night videos. All those kind of shows were playing that. And again, they were catching those things on you were catching those songs on PLJ. They were being played in rotation. Those songs made it onto that. And I think after that, they went too commercial, and the song quality kind of changed. Whereas in the early albums, you had just song after song were great songs off the album. They weren't radio pleasing, but as a fan of the music, you were like, this is great stuff. You can listen to whole albums and not have a problem. But to me, Moving Pictures took them to the top, and then they went the other way too far, and it just got too commercial, maybe too much of the keys, not enough.
I noticed something that you haven't said yet, and I'm waiting for you to say it to see if you're gonna say it. And I don't think you realize, so I don't think you're going to say it. But actually, if you think of this, they cut their hair.
Yeah.
They cut their hair. Geddy Lee cut his hair. Geddy Lee went from the Rick to the Steinberger bass. And yeah, that might not sound like a major change, but for some people it was. Geddy Lee was synonymous with the Rickenbacker for how long? And then there he was. He had the little Steinberger, and then he went over to the Fender jazz basses. So, sometimes a move like that, Metallica cut their hair, they suck. Notice Maiden has never cut their hair.
No, I think, that's a good question.
Not to the extent that some of them, yes, their hair is shorter, except for Steve Harris.
Yeah.
Bruce Dickinson cut his hair, but I don't think he was in the band really at the time. But the other guys, their hair is maybe shorter than it's ever been, but they still have long hair compared to today's standards. And I'm not that that means anything musician-wise, but that does turn people off, that when people change. And they look at it and they're like, well, they changed. Their music's going to be different. And they lose some of that. I know Metallica did. They're sellouts. They cut their hair, and who the fuck cares?
Yeah, no, I agree. But I do think that went with the let's get on TV commercial. They were trying to be, I don't know, I'll say poppy more, but definitely more commercial. They tried to appeal to the video generation. And again, those were guys who didn't sacrifice what they were playing to match what other people were doing. They didn't, try to become Maiden and the new album crowd. They weren't trying to be Sabbath and the early metal stuff. They were the early version of the progressive stuff, and it was great. And while as much as I love Moving Pictures, I definitely think that once they hit that success and that commercial success, they kind of went over the edge, and it got to be too much. And kind of like what Van Halen did. Don't forget, Van Halen had the same thing. They were hard, they were cutting, they just and then all of a sudden, Jump and all of that, and the next thing you know, they were doing power ballads, and
but
because they had that commercial success that they weren't used to at that point.
It's hard to fault the band if they change, and when a band changes a little bit, and then everybody says like, "Oh no, they're different," and I can't listen to them. And Van Halen is a good example. Yeah, you're right. They got a new singer. They were doing different things.
Yeah.
Okay, so they changed a little bit. Everybody gets older. I'm older. Frank Catalano, I'm going to tie into your question. 15 years ago, maybe, and even more and beyond, I would have never have listened to the Beatles. Hated the Beatles. And I'm not the biggest Beatle fan now, but compared to what I once was, I listened to the Beatles. I like the Beatles. I listened to them. As far as Paul McCartney as a bass player, the Beatles did some incredible things on albums if you listen to them, but I don't know how they would replicate it live, because their early stuff was pretty much all like recorded mono, and it's just, I'm not going to say simplistic, but it's straightforward rock and roll that was there at the time. After they got older and they started to play like in the late 60s, they broke up on 68, the Beatles, 68 or 70, like that.
Yeah. 68, 69 was over. Yeah.
The albums leading up to their breakup, like, Abbey Road and albums like that, they were doing a lot of different things, experimental things. A lot of people like McCartney as a bass player. He's not one of my favorites, but that music, I can listen to when I'm in the mood. It's not something that I always like. I got to listen to the Beatles. And, I don't know if he would have been able to replicate all of that live. I mean, evidently he can play a lot of that stuff live, but, nowadays everything with recorded tracks and, who knows what they can do. But he's definitely, nobody's going to mistake him with the guy from fucking AC/DC. That's for sure. And Tom, yeah, you're right. Back to your point with as far as like bands changing. So Metallica changed, and everything wasn't 4,000 miles an hour, and people ripped them apart for it.
Yeah, I think you can change. You can definitely change, and I get it. You can, but you got to stay within the tapestry of the band. Like the early Maiden, like if you would have told me that the first Maiden album transitioned to the second Maiden album, then the third, then the fourth, I would say, okay, that's fine if it stayed in that thing. But they went so far outside of that. Same thing with Metallica. But Maiden, if every album stayed kind of true to the galloping 3.5, 4.5 minute songs, hard rock. After a while, though, when you start getting it, now everything became 7-minute songs and 10-minute songs and 16-minute songs. They got so far away from who they were that it's almost unrecognizable. And it's the reason why they have to go out and do tours of old stuff, because people don't want to accept it. I'm for change, but stay within the here's a perfect example. AC/DC. AC/DC's albums all sound the same, but they're different.
Before you go on to the next band, I want you to stay on the Maiden thing for a minute, because you're using the right words. And if anybody is listening or watching that, it's going to be hard to disagree with anything that you said. You're staying within the tapestry of the of the band. But here's the thing: the tapestry gets bigger, okay? And tapestry doesn't stay small, okay? It expands and it gets bigger and it gets bigger and it gets bigger. Would you be more than like, you can't ask a band to not let musical growth take over. And a band like Iron Maiden, yes, there's some musical growth there, but do you think that a band like Iron Maiden maybe has been around too long?
Maybe
they never did anything outside of Maiden long enough to go back and be hungry and to find that fire. Do you think that when they're writing songs today, they have the same fire and desire that they did?
No, none of them do. No, that's a great point. But to me, I would challenge, if I ever got to interview any of those guys, any of those Maiden guys, my challenge would be, as a Maiden fan, and I own everything they've done on vinyl, CD. I've got DVDs. I've got it all. Maiden's my band. But if I ever got to talk to Steve Harris or Bruce, I would challenge them and say, all right, guys, is it impossible to go back and write an album in mind that sounds like Number of the Beast? Can you find it in you? How come you have to always go away from that? Why can't you build onto that type of album? That would be my thing, because I got you. You're right. Tapestry gets bigger. You make the blanket gets bigger every week. You add pieces onto it, and I get it. But I brought up AC/DC, and I'm gonna come back to it. AC/DC still sounds the same, but they've grown. So it's not all. It doesn't all sound like the same song off the same album. But the theory is still there. It's still two guitars. It's still, the bass drives, but it ain't doing much. The drums stay, they stay to who they are and why you love them, but the albums change just enough so it doesn't sound like the same album you bought the last time, but it's not far off of who they are. The Maiden I listened to today off the last couple of studio albums and the Maiden we grew up on are two different bands.
Let me ask you something. You bring up AC/DC, right?
Uh-huh.
They did 2, 4, 5 albums with Bon Scott, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 albums with Brian Johnson. So there's more stuff with Brian Johnson than there is Bon Scott, okay? To me, you got two bands. With Bon Scott, they sounded one way. With Brian Johnson, they sounded completely different.
I don't think they sounded completely different. I disagree with that. I think the band sounds the same. Obviously, the singing is different. But to be honest with you, if you put on a song from the early stuff from Bon and the stuff from Brian Johnson with somebody who didn't know, you would have to go, is that the different singer? Because the band and the music is really close to the same thing.
Well, I don't know about that.
I
look at Back in Black. Just take one song, which is "You Shook Me All Night Long," and AC/DC never wrote a song like that before. I mean, you got "Highway to Hell." What do you got? "Highway to Hell," "Girls Got Rhythm," "Walk All Over You," "Let There Be Rock," "Dirty Deeds." To me,
but Hell's Bells it's a better produced song, but Hell's Bells is in that category of the old stuff. I don't. But again, I don't. Ask a question. Even if let's say I could see and say you're right, it does sound different. But is it dramatically different? Is it dramatically different in the sense of, let's say, Killers and The Clairvoyant or Wasted Years from Maiden? It's like two different bands wrote that. Whereas if I gave you the two songs we were just talking about from AC/DC, you go, yeah, it's a little different, but you could tell it's the same band. The Maiden stuff is completely different.
I totally disagree. Man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that you got that Steve Harris clack up until the albums after Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. What's the one with Tail Gunner on it? Mother Russia.
Yeah.
No Prayer for the Dying. I don't remember the names of all of the albums after that.
Again, I love Brave New World. I love that album, but that album sounds nothing like early Maiden. I mean, you listen to, what's the one they do all the time in concert? Fear of the Dark. Great song. Does that sound like any Maiden song you heard off the first 4 albums? Not even close.
I don't know, dude. I mean, that has a little bit of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner in it.
Maybe. I just think it's so different.
Hold on, that I just did that on purpose. That's a 7-minute song, 7 minutes and 17 seconds. The only other song, I understand what you're saying, but like Mother Russia, that was another song. That was, that's only 5.5 minutes. While I understand what you're bringing up, what you're saying,
yeah,
I still think that it had that Maiden feel.
No, I
lost him after that. But that's when Yanni Gears was in the band and Adrian Smith left.
No, I get your point. Listen, Steve Harris is in the band. You're going to get a certain feel because it's Iron Maiden. I'm just saying is after a while, they get so far outside of where they came from. You don't know if they could ever find that again. Like, I wonder if they could ever, Steve Harris could sit down and ever write, because I listened to his British Lion stuff and it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I've tried to like it. It's
wanted to like it in the worst way.
Yeah. It's Steve Harris's band. I love Steve Harris. I bought the album and I sat down and went, this is unlistenable. It doesn't even sound like it, and I get it,
Borderline.
huh?
Or borderline unlistenable.
Yeah.
To me, it's bad enough where I never gave it a second listen.
Same here.
Not something that I could get into.
I love Steve Harris. If he came to New York and somebody offered me concerts to see British Lion, I wouldn't go.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go.
Blame you.
It's just, if I mean, I love Steve Harris. I love his Maiden stuff. He's one of my favorite performers of all time. But yeah, frankly, I totally agree with everything what you said. I totally agree. But yeah, so again, I would love to know if you said to Steve Harris, hey, I want you to sit down and I want you to write something that you could have put on Number of the Beast or Killers 40 years ago. Could he do it today? And I don't think he could. I think that, like you said, the fire, the stuff that's was in his belly, that I think that's gone. And I think you're getting the mature, grown up, old man Steve Harris music now.
Oh, sadly, yes. And I could agree with that. But I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that when they were younger, the stuff that he wrote was to such a high standard,
right? That
now it's not that the ideas aren't there. I think the ideas are just different.
Maybe, and maybe our attention span is different. Maybe our attention span is different.
Oh, maybe, but I couldn't picture Metallica writing "Fight Fire with Fire" at this point in time, or Master of Puppets or Battery. I just don't think that they have it in them.
No, I I agree, and that's the sad part. But again, when I listen to AC/DC stuff, it still falls into that same theory that they had. It might not be as good. It might not catch your attention, but it still sounds like it's AC/DC. Like you hear it, you go, "Oh yeah, that's AC/DC."
Yeah, because you're so used to what Brian Johnson did. I mean, do you really need to buy an AC/DC album after Back in Black?
Probably not. No, probably not. I mean, again, that's kind of, there are certain things with bands where it kind of it cuts off for me, where I get everything going forward. I can't listen to it. It's one song.
I'm not saying that you can't listen to it. What I'm saying though is simply this: is there any songs you can name songs off of all Dirty Deeds? You can name songs off of High Voltage. You can name songs off of Back in Black, Highway to Hell, TNT. Can you name? I couldn't even name some of the other albums after a certain point. And to me, that's the point that I'm talking about. Like, why do you want to listen to this? I don't want to listen to that.
I bought a few of their albums after, and I'll tell you what's after some of those albums, because I
got it right here. The album.
Go ahead.
All right, you're starting off with High Voltage, Dirty Deeds. We both released the same year.
Yeah.
Let There Be Rock, Power Rage, Highway to Hell, Back in Black, For Those About to Rock, Flick of the Switch, 1983. Name a song off of it. Fly on the Wall, name a song. Blow Up Your Video, name a song. Razor's Edge, I think they had a song in a video that was on. Then they went 5 years without an album, and they went Ball Breaker. Another 5 years, Stiff Upper Lip. 8 years, an album called Black Ice. 6 years, Rock or Bust. Another 6 years for an album called Power Up. They had a few live albums. They had If You Want Blood, live. The album is called Live, and then Live at River Plate, which I don't even know which is. It must be an iTunes album, to be honest with you. And I don't know. Like, to me, that's what sets it apart for me. I couldn't name a song off of any of those albums I just mentioned. Maiden, at least you can name songs off of them. But I mean, yes, but we're both bigger Maiden fans than we are AC/DC fans.
Sure.
So, of course, that's a little biased, but, once again, it comes down to it. Like, do these bands really need to even put out albums anymore?
Yeah, well, I think that's something that hit me over the head a few years ago. And I would tell you there's one song off of Rock or Bust called Play Ball. That's a really good song. I own that album, and it's called Play Ball. It's a 2 minute and 47-second song. Quick, but man, good tune. But yeah, no, listen, I've come to that realization a few years back. I was trying to buy, and you'd buy the latest Accept album, or you'd buy the latest Warrant album, and you catch a song or you catch a chorus that was good. And then I realized the last few years that just nothing comes out that you go, wow. I tried Hardwire. It was okay for Metallica. I bought the last couple of Judas Priest albums. They were okay. But you're right. I think a lot of it, they just forgot how to write music the way they used to. I'm not sure any rock band anymore puts out music that you want to hear. I mean, I got into some of Sammy Hagar's solo bands. The last good one was the one with Portnoy, Richie Kotzen, and Billy Sheehan.
Okay, Winery Dogs.
Yes, they put out a couple of good things. But again, if you ask me right now, I own the albums. I couldn't name a song off of any of them.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, Frankie, you're right. You were growing up, and I guess it's nostalgia. I would rather reach for Killers. I was spent the whole weekend listening to the first Iron Maiden album. I was practicing some songs off of it.
All right, so listen. While Frank says that, it's called growing up. Also, okay, yeah, to a point. But are you starting to listen to 101.1 oldies? What our parents listen to? Are you listening to 106.7? Let me listen to some elevator music. You're not doing that, Frank. You'll defend Motley Crue and Kiss, two bands that, if you talk about growing up, there's not many 60-year-old men that are wearing makeup except for those guys in those bands. Things change, yeah, but a lot of people our age are still listening to music that we listened to when we were in high school.
Yeah, no, listen, I have kind of shunned. The only new music I'm listening to is probably country music at this point. I haven't listened to, and I probably won't listen to much from the hard rock and metal world. And I think in the next year or two, you'll probably hear less and less. I mean, I know that.
What's coming out that makes you say that I want to listen?
Listen, again, there's some stuff coming out, and I just kind of glanced by it. I mean, we tried to get into some of Geezer Butler's solo band, not very good. Rex Brown stuff came out. It was okay, the first album. They tried with Vinny Appice was in that band from North Carolina. What was it called? My God, I can't. There was like 75 different versions of the band, but it just, it's just kind of going to turn into what the doo-wop bands and the Frankie Valli. Frankie Valli's 90 years old, still singing Grease.
Well, they got him fucking propped up. They're just waiting for that guy to.
Yeah, I'm just saying is that, and yeah, there was a couple of Anthrax albums that came out later. There was some decent stuff on it. I listened. I bought them. I have them. But nothing great. Nothing where at this point I can't tell you the last time I picked up one of those.
Let me ask you say Anthrax. Ask Joey Belladonna right now if he would rather continue to sing for Anthrax or if the opportunity to go sing with Journey came up, if he would run over there. And I guarantee you that he'd say he'll go with Journey.
Yeah, maybe. But even those guys aren't putting out new music. They're just cranking out. Every year they come back and they sing "Don't Stop Believing" in separate ways and anything.
They don't have to put anything else out.
Right, that's it. But neither does AC/DC, neither does Maiden, neither does Judas Priest.
They continue to put out albums that are subpar.
Now, Adrenaline Mob, the last album that they did an album I don't have in front of me. That was really good. They had a couple good songs on it. I thought that was really good. But no, I agree. I kind of agree with Jeff. I don't know what's coming out that's,
Let me ask you, tell me some of the stuff that you've bought or downloaded in the last couple months.
No,
and I'll tell you some of the stuff that I did.
To me, again, I've downloaded nothing except for country music. I've just nothing but country music stuff. I've listened to stuff Eric Church and Travis
Tritt.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I guess I've done nothing but country music. Other than that, I only download stuff that I grew up listening to. I have I
downloaded. I bought this song from the downloaded a song from the Del Vikings, an album Family Style from the Vaughan Brothers, a bunch of Rush, a band called Cathedral, some Deep Purple, some YNT, some Hendrix, some Scorpions that I didn't have. Just some stuff, a band called Budgie, which I never even went back and listened to, a song from Enraged, some Michael Schenker, and that's as far back as it'll allow me to go, but nothing new, nothing that I'm like, this is great stuff.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree. Listen, I've bought some stuff over the years. What's his name from? He's a classical music composer now. The guy, who's the guy that the band that they used to make fun of on Beavis and Butthead all the time?
Winger.
Yeah, Kip Winger. He came out with a couple solo things that weren't terrible. Now he's composing classical music.
Yeah, listen, a lot of people say that he's a good musician, and I just never got into the Winger thing. And then, he's gone through a lot of problems in his life. You know that, right?
Yeah. And a lot of different people in his band. And
not that. His wife ended up getting killed in a car accident or something.
Yes.
Like, he's gone through some major shit, but the guy's still hanging around.
No, I think what you're going to see is a lot of these guys going out, especially the singers. You're going to see 5, 6, 7 of them on a tour with one band that plays all their music, and people are just going to go out there. And I'm telling you, it's like the doo-wop crowd. You watch that, they go out there with 4 or 5 singers from the band because most of the guys are dead or can't go out there anymore, and they go out and one band plays all their music and the singer sings, and nobody cares because all they want to do is hear Bruce Dickinson singing, Number of the Beast, and they don't care who's behind them. That's what's going to turn into 10 years from now. You're going to have,
if they're alive.
Yeah, well, you're going to Sebastian Bach, and you're going to have Bruce and Jeff Tate and a bunch of these guys, Brett Michaels, and they're going to be on a cruise someplace, and a bunch of guys in purple tuxedos are going to be playing their music, and they'll be singing the songs, and a bunch of gray-haired ladies will be oohing and ahhing over them.
I think Jeff Tate is going to hang it up soon. He's doing Operation Mindcrime for the last time. So
there'll be nothing left if he stops singing that. There's nothing left.
Well, I know there's nothing left. He's playing fucking old Queensryche shit now. And when you say some of these older bands, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Want to know something? Maiden is another story. I don't think people just want to see Bruce Dickinson come out and sing this.
No, Maiden is Steve Harris. But
and I did see a picture of a video of Sebastian Bach. I don't know if he was like in a hotel conference room or.
Yes, I saw that. It's exactly what it looked like. It looked like he walked into a bingo parlor. They were playing bingo, and he just started singing it. I did see that.
Yeah, I don't understand that, man.
Oof, Frankie, I saw him last year, Jeff Tate, and I saw Jeff Tate, and he was fantastic. So, I think that if you get a chance to see him while you can, he still kicks it. I don't know if they enhance it at all. I saw him in Red Bank.
They just changed the tuning of that stuff, man, for him to accommodate his voice. That's all.
Yeah, but he still puts on. That was a really good show. But again, he mixed in some of his newer stuff, and you're like, all right, get back to the Queensryche stuff. Come on now,
because nobody wants to hear it.
Exactly, and again, here's the thing. So there was a first band on that was actually pretty good. Can't think of the name of them. And then when they were done, 2 of the members of that band stayed on and played for Jeff Tate in his band. So, it's almost like, again, you could show up in a town, hire 4 musicians, have them play the songs, and Jeff Tate jumps out in front, and nobody would know and nobody would care. Because all they want to do is see Jeff Tate sing those songs. Like I said, it's like Frankie Valli. Who cares who backs him up? All you want to do is hear Frankie Valli come out and sing Grease and all this other shit that he sang for 150 years that, basically they prop him up before the show and he goes out and sings it. So,
I'm looking up, I had to look up Queens right now to see what's going on with them. And Eddie Wilton and Michael Wilton and Eddie Jackson are the only mainstays from that band. Scott Rockenfield has been gone for a while. You got Mike Stone is back in the band. It's a shame. That's a band, man. You want to talk about a band that maybe should have fucking hung it up.
I saw them with when they first got Latoria and they played at the Starland, and they were great. They sounded terrific. Rockefeller was still there. Obviously Eddie Jackson and Michael Wilton. I didn't feel like they had dropped off that much, and some of their albums after were actually pretty good. And then it just fizzled again. It's just obviously the call for the music is not great, and there's this. It's too much of the same old stuff, and it's too expensive. To be honest with you, to go to these shows, even in the Starland, it's too expensive to go at this point in time.
They would get more people if they would finally. Some of these guys would just wake up like Queensryche and say, you know what? They're playing clubs. I'm playing clubs. We hate them. I hate them. They hate me. But you know what? We're approaching 65, 70 years old. Let's get out there. Let's go.
I agree.
And we could do one last major tour, say goodbye like we should. And then, if you want to keep playing, by all means, keep playing. Eddie Jackson's going to be 64 years old, or he's 64 years old now.
Right.
Jeff Tate, that means Jeff Tate's got to be pushing 70.
I would say. Got to be.
He was the oldest guy in the band. I'm going to look that up now. I'm going to say 67.
I wouldn't argue that. I would say something in that range, yeah.
66. His birthday just passed. He was born in 59. He's 66. How much longer? I don't know about those guys and a drug past. I don't think they were really heavily into drugs.
No, and they seem like they've straightened themselves. I mean, look at Sebastian Bach. You could still say he's probably.
I'm talking about Queensryche.
Yeah, I'm just saying I think those guys are pretty clear.
Yeah, I don't think that they were ever caught up in anything. But listen, you never know what happens in their own time.
I agree. Listen, I think it's going to get to that point, and it's there now. I mean, think about it. We just went over all the shows last week, right? All the shows for the summer. Afterwards, I went looking. There wasn't one metal show anywhere. Now, maybe we didn't look at clubs. I don't know if anybody's out there doing Starland Ballroom. I'm sure they are. But in none of the major arenas or stadiums in our area, there wasn't one hard rock or metal show that I could find. Not even Def Leppard and Journey going out, which they do every year. Motley Crue's been quiet. Now that they got John 6 and all of that. No, John 5. Sorry, John 6. John 5.
I'm looking. I know that it's not a major place, but I'm looking at the St. George Theater to see if anything has happened or added. Because sometimes they have some bands like Blondie played there. A couple other bands. You got Vanessa Williams in May. Okay, no big deal. A Beatles tribute in August. A disco show in September. Marlon Wayans at the end of November. They don't even have people on a small scale playing out to places like this, and it's a shame, man.
Yeah,
the music world, the music scene is so quiet, so dead, and I just don't understand it.
I got one for you. I just brought up the schedule for the Starland Ballroom.
Yeah,
April 11th, the Slackers. April 15th, the Used. April 16th, the Used. The April 18th, the Used. May 2nd, Ace Frehley's making an appearance at that. May 3rd, Boy with Uke. May 8th, Old 60. May 9th, Hollywood Undead. May 17th, Louis DeVito. It's a 21 and over event. June 6th, The Starting Line. June 20th, Less Than Jake. And August 8th is Adobe Summer School.
Who the fuck is that?
I couldn't even begin to tell you. I also brought up the Stone Pony, Dean Lewis, Splintered Sunlight, Dorothy, Buckethead, Neon Trees, Emo Night, Brooklyn, Jagged Little Thrill, which is the Atlantis Mars Experience, Evan Horner, Bad Nerves, Dandy Warhols, Super Trans Am, Statesboro, and Allman Brothers Tribute.
Super Trans Am I've heard of. I don't know who they are, but they're I'm not going to say they're a bigger club band, but I think that's what they are.
John Eddie, Arms Length, the Wood Brothers, Ziggy Alberts, Motion City Soundtrack, Steel Pulse, Crumb, Wild Rivers, The Church. The Black Crowes are actually showing up in September. The Bouncing Souls, Bayside, The Menzingers, Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, and Yoke Lore. That is the Stone Pony for the summer. Those are the big shows, I guess, there. So out of all of that, I heard Ace Frehley. You want to throw the Black Crows in on that? I'll throw the Black Crows in for you.
I think you could Kingfish Ingram. If I think I know who it is, he's like some fucking 400-pound fucking dude. Yeah, he's a blues guy. If you like blues, go see him now, because at his size, he might not last very long.
So that is the smaller, big venues, and there's nothing there. So again, I like
those are the bands that are going to take the next step.
Yeah. So Hollywood Undead, is that the Hollywood Undead? Is that all
Johnny
those
Depp?
Johnny Depp and those guys? I thought that was the vampires. Wasn't that like the
Hollywood vampires?
Yeah, that's like Alice Cooper. I would, again, if I didn't see it on the list, if Yacht Rock is playing at the Stone Pony, I will be there, because I like that. I like those guys. I think that's a great band. I want to see if I can find the interview from that. I'm not sure if that was a Facebook interview.
Hollywood Vampires is Alice Cooper, Johnny Depp, Joe Perry. The band name derives from the Hollywood Vampires, a celebrity drinking club formed by Alice Cooper in the 70s, including Harry Nilsson, Keith Moon, and Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees.
Imagine that. That's some crowd.
Touring members of this band have included Duff McKagan and Matt Sorum, and Robert DeLeo of the Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, they used to meet, I think, upstairs at the Rainbow or something, and hang out and party and whatever. But
the band has released 2 studio albums featuring guest appearances by Paul McCartney, Dave Grohl, Joe Walsh, Zach Starkey, and Christopher Lee, among others. That band doesn't really catch much of my interest. I'm
not a big Johnny Depp guy. I like Alice Cooper. I have to tell you, I've become more of an Alice Cooper fan. I saw him live. I thought it was great. They opened for Maiden. It was a while back. I took my son Chris to see Maiden, and that was a good Maiden show. But a really good show with Alice Cooper was good.
Almost blew myself out of the chair.
Oh, nice.
Not really. I had to get the wind behind the log and out to the front of the log. So
listen, here's the bottom line: we grew up on great music. We still listen to it today. Again, I listened to the first Maiden album all weekend. After the show, I want to practice a little bit tonight. I'll get a little bit. I'm gonna listen to a couple of songs tonight, but there really is nothing new. Frankie, I get you like some of that new stuff, and again, there's some stuff that I've liked. I bought a bunch of things, but I would tell you, I'd be hard pressed to go see any of it in concert. It's not going to make. I always thought it might make a comeback. I always thought that metal might get mainstream again, like they did in the '80s for a few years. But grunge really did kill metal. Let's call it what it is.
Metal killed metal. Metal was killed by grunge, man. Metal killed metal because they never fucking went and moved bands. They didn't push the right bands.
Again, it changed from the stuff we loved. Then went to the hair metal stuff, and the hair metal stuff was getting ridiculous. They kept coming out with new bands that just looked and sounded the same. And then all of a sudden, somebody came out with plaid shirts and jeans, and just wrote about killing themselves, and that was the new thing. And from that point on, it was gone. But you're right. But grunge, didn't last very long either. I would say. I mean, most of that stuff died out pretty quick.
See, that's the thing. Frankie doesn't know. You don't realize all of the grunge guys died.
Yeah,
it's not that the music died. The music died because the musicians that were making it died. They Lane Staley, fucking the guy, a whole bunch of different guys. The bass player for Alice in Chains. Scott Weiland, they all fucking end up was so drugged out, they all died. So nobody else picked up the band Screaming Trees. Like the whole band is gone because of fucking drugs. At least hair metal. I'm not a hair metal fan, but they weren't offing themselves like these. I mean, look at Kurt Cobain. God only knows. They never tell you how many times he tried to kill himself. They just tell you that he was successful that one time.
Yeah.
So like Daffy Duck when he did that one show, it's like I can only do that trick once,
Hey, Frank Catalano, I see your post on Facebook where Dickinson recalls opening for Iron Maiden, names Paul Di'Anno era song he doesn't want to sing anymore. What was the song that Dickinson didn't want to sing anymore? Doesn't want to sing anymore? Does he actually name it, or is it just clickbait?
And Frank, as far as to say 5 or 6 great grunge bands, there were so many different bands that they consider grunge that even I think that they just keep adding bands to the genre of music, but they weren't all top quality bands. So
who was? Give me the. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of grunge bands?
For me personally,
yeah.
Who I feel that people look at as
you can do it either way. You can do it both ways if you want.
I would say, to me, my favorite's got to be Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, of course. But then if you look at other people, what do they consider grunge? Nirvana, Bush, Stone Temple Pilots, Mother Love Bone, which put out one album. Chris Cornell, some of the stuff that he did was grunge. Soundgarden.
See, the problem I have with it is, to me, and I don't listen to a ton of it, so I could be way off.
It didn't last long. None of those bands lasted that long.
Alice in Chains and Nirvana being in the same genre never made a lot of sense to me. It just didn't fit. And I thought Stone Temple Pilots, I didn't really care for them until I saw them live, and they were amazing live.
Alice in Chains and Nirvana they came from the same area. They were the same shit. Just Alice in Chains was a little bit more polished than Nirvana. Nirvana wasn't really. I mean, Kurt Cobain is he did us a favor.
Yeah. Listen.
Sorry.
That, to me, I never understood all that Nirvana stuff. Pearl Jam. I'm sorry, that stuff I just again, Alice in Chains. There's a couple of really good tunes, really good stuff. But the Pearl Jam and Nirvana, I can't get it. To me, for me, it goes in the classification of the Doors. I mean, I can't get it all fast enough.
The first Pearl Jam album is incredible. The second Pearl Jam album, you got maybe half an album that's really good and the other half, But by the time you get to the third album, they had a song or two maybe, and then I couldn't even tell you what the fourth album was called, But like, I don't know. They were political on their own right, and they were championing for certain things, and I'm not here to listen to activists. I want to hear music.
Yeah. I
Same thing with Stone Temple Pilots. The first album was gold. The second album, it's okay. It's not bad. But by the time you get to the third album, you're picking and it'll be like, that one's okay. No. All right. No. They lose. These bands start writing this stuff all fucked up. Then they get clean and it's like, they can't write music. That was what was missing. They're injecting themselves, hitting them in their vein. That's what was missing.
I guess. Again, like I said, I never bought the grunge thing. But listen, I was kind of hoping that the metal scene would come back. It never did, never will. You're right. The bands, the next wave of bands never got there. But music, that's why music's a revolution. And it just keeps going around and around, and you're going to get new stuff and new cycles. And, today's stuff that, when metal came out, my father used to shake his head and say, what happened to, my music? And I used to laugh and say, Dad, things change, things get better. Now when I listen to the radio and I hear what people put out as music, and there's auto tunes and this, and I go, what is this? My kids say the same thing.
But here's the thing, though. Okay. Music like your dad's that he listened to, the doo-wop stuff and everything else, and the 50s music, it evolved a little bit, yeah. And then the 60s came, and then those bands evolved, and then at the late 60s, you had Sabbath and Metallica, not Metallica, I'm sorry, Led Zeppelin, The Who, the Rolling Stones, and they kind of branched out a little bit and kept music going. Yeah. And then the bands from the 70s, but there's no bands coming out now.
No, I agree.
Nobody coming out after. It does not matter what the genre of music is. I couldn't even tell you who a big music star is right now. Like I heard there's a girl, Tate McRae. Do you know who that is?
Oh, I never heard of her.
Neither do I. I heard a song the other day. I get in the car at work and the radio was on, and it was Billie Eilish or Billie
Oh,
Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Yeah.
I
I think. Well, here's the problem now.
What song she sang?
But here's why. And here's the problem with the music industry today. When did we discover bands? Two ways, right? You either got up and you went to a record store, you bought albums, and you heard what music was playing, or you heard it on the radio. Nowadays,
or videos.
Okay,
videos, something
fair enough. Very fair.
Videos.
Now there's nobody playing videos. The MTV don't play videos anymore. VH1 don't play videos anymore. So now everything is centralized. You use Amazon Music, right? People use Spotify, and what do? You go to bands you already know. You're not looking for. You're not downloading Billie Eilish songs. You're not downloading Tate McRae songs. Neither am I. So it used to be you put on the radio in the car, and there were 3 stations, 4 stations, and they were basically playing the same music. Or you might get the PLJs and the Z100s, and maybe they were playing. One's playing hard rock, and now you're not going to that. So we're not able to discover these things anymore. You're just not. And I'm as guilty as anybody. I'm not saying I want to hear them, but
Tom, for the longest time, everything you're saying is 100% true, and I hear what you're saying. For the longest time, you would come on the show and you would say, "No, there's music coming up. There's music coming up. There's bands. There's this. There's that." No, there's not. And
no, you're 100% right.
And another thing, downloading music did kill it because we were forced to buy an album. And your hard-earned $7 at the time to buy an album, you were like, you had to scratch and everything and claw for $7.
Sure.
And when you bought the album, you were like, you were forced to listen to it because it cost you $7.
Correct.
And if anybody's listening now and they're like, just for $7,
now it's $28.
Yeah. And like, why would you even? My wife wanted me to get into collecting albums in the worst way. She did everything she could to push me that way. And I'm like, sweetie, I'm not spending $30 on an album.
Dude, I went in last week. There's a music store around the corner from my job. I park there all the time, and I go in once in a blue moon. And every time I think I want, and to be honest with you, Jeff, I'm buying. I want to. I collect. I have all my Maiden. I have a whole bunch of albums on the other side of the room, and I've bought some stuff in there. But I have a hard time going back and buying an album I owned when I was a kid for $28 now. I try to find the old version of that album, which is still probably $20-something, but I don't want the new version of it. I want the original. I don't want the enhanced version.
Now you got to go to yard sales and the thrift stores and shit.
Yeah, and they do have them, but it's few and far in between. But yeah, I'd like to collect because, like, I collected baseball cards for years, hockey cards, football cards. And recently, my son got into it, so I gave him all my stuff. And he wound up with some decent stuff, and he's got a collection that hopefully he'll turn and pass on to his son. And I'd like to do that with my albums. And my dad's got albums that hopefully I'll get someday, and, I'll add to my collection. And, my kids are now are collecting vinyl. Now, they're not going back and collecting my era or our era of stuff, but, it is nice to collect, and I will do more collecting, but it's very difficult now. It's very, new albums are like $45. Some of them.
It's insane. That's fucking insane.
Back then I could buy 5 albums for that money as a kid. We went to the city with $20. You got 2 albums, a hot dog and a soda, and back and forth. For $20,
and then decided what sticker you want to buy that you weren't putting on anything.
Exactly. So I'm not waxing nostalgic. It's just your money went further. Now 20 you could get a half an album. So I get it and all that. But so while I love collecting, I still I just was listening to some Queen stuff this past weekend on vinyl. To me, there's nothing better than listen to vinyl, but. It's an expensive hobby now with, the old, again, you hit it on the head. You got to go to yard sales or the thrift stores and you whip through and you might come out with an album or two. I
could kick myself in the ass because I had Queen 2, one of my favorite albums of all time on vinyl. And I'm not going to say it was an original pressing, but it was as close to original as you can get. and it's gone. I don't know where the fuck what I did with it.
Every Queen album I own right now is the remastered versions on vinyl that I spent $20-something to get, including the game, which all of those albums. I have a bunch of Queen, but none of the original. I have all my original Maiden, a lot of my original Kiss. I have all my original Kiss albums. The only Kiss album I don't have is the very first one. I didn't realize I didn't have it. That's the one album I have to go back and find, and I will do that to complete the Kiss collection. But I have all those kind of albums, But you're right; it's expensive to do, and it's much easier to download the songs on Amazon onto your thing. So,
well, unfortunately, you know what? Like I could sit here, I listen to things that you say, and sometimes I grab the phone and I'm like, well, let me put that on there. Let me grab this. Let me grab that.
Yeah. It's just as easy.
That I'm fucking downloading or not. Like there's a song, this band, I don't even know the name of it. The Obscurest Vinyl and the Sticky Sweethearts is the name of them. And they just pull out these stupid songs.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, like I got one here. I glued my balls to my butthole again. The Shadow of My Wiener. Dad's Dead Dog. All I Want for Christmas is Glue. Pulling out my pubes. But when you listen to them, they start off like Motown songs. And then 5 minutes later, you're fucking crying because you can't believe the shit the guy's saying.
Unbelievable.
It is what it is.
Yep, it certainly is, my friends. And listen, it is what it is. And it's I'm shocked we made through 2 hours. I would have thought for sure we would have been over and done with it about 8:15 tonight. But thanks to Frank Catalano and all you guys. We appreciate you helping out and getting the show through the finish line. And we put another 2 hours in the books for this week. Jeff, you got some shows coming up. I know one on the 19th.
I got more shows coming up than I know what to do with, to be honest with you.
Good for you. Look at you.
Got, Rockies in New Jersey and Rahway on April 19th. On April 26th, I'm doing a place called Frenchie's. Then May, I'm playing at the Trotters on the 24th and 31st. Something for see you later, Frank.
Yeah, Frankie.
And Frankie, save up your coins, man. Let's go get a PS5. Let's get in on this. And I got a couple shows at the Trotters in a row, benefits, and I don't know. There's just shit all over the place. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, well, good for you. It's what you love to do, so keep doing it while you can.
More on show September 20th at the Mother Pugs.
September 20th?
Yeah, keep an eye out for that one.
Wow. It's far in advance.
Very smart. I got shows booked up through October at this place called Monarchs. I don't even know what Monahans.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what that is. Then I told him, I says, I need to take November off. I got too much going on. Fucking my mother's birthday, my mother-in-law's birthday, my nephew's getting married. I have a surprise party I have to go to for somebody. My anniversary, my real anniversary, my wedding anniversary.
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna be broke by that time. Fuck me.
Yeah, I know. I'm having that. I'm having that this April. So April is a very tough month for my finances, but I'll get through it and we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, guys, we're going to call it a night. I got to jump off. I got to jump on some emails. I got a lot of work stuff for tomorrow to set up. I'm going to try to maybe spank that ass tonight if I can get there. But we'll see. We'll definitely not get one over the weekend, and we'll report the outcome this week, next week.
Definitely play over the weekend. I actually have work tomorrow myself, but I may go out there and play a game. I don't know, man. It's cold out there, and I'm wearing shorts, and I got the dog.
So let's we'll regroup and we'll get back to you. We'll keep you guys updated on it. But come on back next Thursday night when we do it all over again because we love doing it. And again, remember our draft show. We've done it every year. Will be the 24th, right? Is that the 24th? Today's the 10th, 17th. Yeah. So 24th, 2 weeks from today, we'll be doing our draft show, and we'll finally get to who's getting drafted, and we'd love to talk about that. And then, of course, John Mahefka is joining us. So, Frankie, good night. And again, thank you to all of you guys who hung in there with us tonight. Louis Pica, Frankie Catalano, my pops, and everybody else along the way. So for For Jeff and myself, I say thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. So we say, as we always do, have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great next week. Stay warm, stay safe, and come on back next week when we do this all over again. So for Jeff Tomwinski, myself, and everybody here at Hard Rock and Sports, have a great rest of your night. We'll see you next Thursday night when we do it all over again. Hefe, I'll talk to you off the air.
So have a good night, man.
All right, pal. You too.
Later.